For centuries, the world of alchemy has been wrapped up in this incredible mystery, right? Its ancient books are just filled with these bizarre, beautiful, and, let's be honest, totally cryptic illustrations. But today, we're using some seriously cutting-edge AI to finally learn how to speak this forgotten visual language. Let's dive in and see how it works. So, take a look at these images. They're intricate, they're fantastic, they look like art. But what if they were actually more like blueprints? Or maybe even complex chemical recipes? You see, the alchemists weren't just doodling here. They were encoding their entire life's work into a language that was specifically designed to be understood only by those in the know.
To even begin to understand their work, you have to learn their alphabet. And we're not talking about ABC here. This was a language of powerful recurring symbols, what experts call hermetic symbols. These were the absolute building blocks of their secret knowledge, and every single one was just packed with layers and layers of meaning.
Okay, so take this dragon, for instance. In the alchemical language, it's not just some fantasy creature. It scales its entire being, really. It all symbolizes big concepts like protection, or even the raw, untamed state of matter before it gets refined. It's kind of like the starting point for the whole experiment. And then you've got these figures, like the Sun King. This is a really powerful image that you see over and over again. It symbolizes the ultimate goal of the whole alchemical quest, perfection. Now, that could be in the physical creation of gold, for sure, but it also represented the alchemist's own spiritual enlightenment.
And maybe the most famous of all, the mercurial serpent, or the Ouroboros. You know the one, the serpent eating its own tail. This was totally central to how alchemists thought. It represents that eternal cycle of transformation, of life, death, and rebirth. So these symbols, the dragon, the king, the serpent, they weren't just pretty pictures. They were the key words in a hidden vocabulary.
So if this was a language, why haven't we been able to read it? I mean, for centuries, these manuscripts have completely stumped historians and scientists. Well, the answer is pretty simple. The code was designed to be unreadable to outsiders.
This quote from our source material just nails it. The alchemists intentionally cloaked their discoveries in this symbolic language. It was a totally deliberate act of concealment. They wanted to protect their work from people who weren't initiated, or worse, people who might misuse it.
And the challenge of trying to decipher this stuff was just immense. I mean, the symbols weren't just cryptic. They often described a chemical process and a spiritual journey at the same time. And to make it even harder, there was no standard dictionary. Each alchemist might use their own unique dialect. It was literally a lock without a key.
Until now. Yeah, to pick this ancient lock, we need a brand new kind of key, a digital Rosetta Stone, if you will. And that key is being forged right now with a seriously powerful form of artificial intelligence.
So, what even is a neural network? Well, think of it like a computer program that's been designed to work a bit like a human brain. It's incredibly good at looking at huge amounts of data, in this case, hundreds of ancient illustrated pages, and finding complex patterns that a human researcher might miss over a whole lifetime of study.
So here's how it all works. First, the AI scans and digitizes these old pages. Then it starts to identify those recurring symbols we talked about, the serpents, the kings, all of them. But here's the magic, the third step. It deconstructs the visual grammar. It figures out how these symbols interact with each other. Then, finally, it puts all the pieces together to reveal the hidden process. And this is where it gets really, really cool. By understanding that grammar, the AI is making these symbols speak for the first time in centuries. It's revealing the fluid, dynamic transformations they were designed to hide all along. So the crucial thing to get here is that the AI isn't just making a simple dictionary where, serpent equals one thing. No, it's learning the syntax. It can see a serpent next to a sun king and understand that that specific combination describes a particular stage in a super complex fluid process. Let's look at a real-world example. The AI can analyze hundreds of pictures of the mercurial serpent, cross-reference them with texts and other symbols, and figure out that it often represents a real chemical process, sublimation and condensation. Where a solid turns into a gas and then back into a solid again, a totally core technique in early chemistry. And it gets even deeper. The AI has confirmed that the Sun King often represents the purification of gold, which was a huge goal for alchemists, but it also represents a parallel process, the alchemist's own personal journey towards spiritual perfection. These texts were operating on two levels at once, and now the AI can actually see both. So why does translating a few strange old drawings really matter? I mean, who cares, right? Well, it's because this breakthrough is about so much more than just alchemy. It's about building a bridge directly into the minds of our ancestors. This is the key takeaway. For the very first time, we are bridging that gap. We're not just guessing what they meant anymore. We're using a tool that can analyze their work with a depth and a scope that was just impossible before, connecting their worldview right to our modern understanding. What this really means is we can start to see the world through their eyes. We're finally understanding the logic behind the magic, the chemistry behind the myth. It's a fundamentally new way to engage with history, not as just a collection of old artifacts, but as a real, living conversation. And that just leaves us with this one fascinating thought. Alchemy is just one lost language. Think about it. There are countless other historical codes, symbols, and artistic traditions that are still a complete mystery to us. If we can teach a machine to speak the language of dragons and kings, what other lost languages are we going to learn to speak next?